Joining us on Talking Sense today, Muzi Kuzwayo. Hello, Muzi. Good to have you here.
Thank you, Gabriel. Thank you for the invitation.
Such a pleasure.
It is my pleasure and honor being one of I would imagine, the first interviewees with a new launch. Is that correct?
Yeah, in fact, you'll be our second interview going live.
Oh, fantastic.
And I think a great place to start is for you to tell us about yourself, your background, what you do, and how you've kind of ended up in the position that you're in today.
Well, Gabriel, I call myself an ad man. I started in advertising. I still love the world of brands. And as started writing copy, being in client service, doing everything that is done in the ad business, and ended up being chief executive of one of the larger agencies, TBWA and Lascaris at the time. And I got very interested in how countries build their own brands and what people get to believe over time, what makes the DNA of the brand. And firstly, what I'd like to do is congratulate you guys. And coming from an old brand man, I suggest that I always say to people, don't follow trends. Chasing trends is like chasing tornadoes. Firstly, it's dangerous.
Yeah.
But the thrill is not worth the danger.
Yeah.
Trends come and go, but the reason why people recognize a peacock all the time, it's because of what it is. And that's what I think South Africa has lost. We've lost what we are about, the essence of our existence, our DNA. And as I said, I'm an old ad man, and you look at brands have a certain character, a certain truth about them. And the truth about South Africa is that we're peacemakers, and our skill is highly needed right now, as everyone is marching to the drums of war as we speak. In the East, Putin, Xi, and Kim Jong-un, I think from North Korea, Turkey, wishy-washy there a little bit, but the Chinese, everybody's there. And as Donald Trump said in his tweet earlier on, that they're bad-mouthing America. So you see these two powers, and it feels pretty much like in the 1900s, 1909, in the early 1920s, 1930s, the rise to people are marching to war again, and South Africa's role is sorely needed, that of a peacemaker, and so I started an organization called South Africa's Promise, which is about trying to get South Africa back to the DNA of South Africa, the promise that we have in our constitution that says in the preamble of the constitution that is basically the reason for our existence is to make everyone achieve his fullest potential.
Yes. I think that's a great lead-in, because one of the things that we want to really focus on at the Common Sense is the South African story, and getting the South African story right. And so you mentioned how you think that South Africa has kind of lost its connection to the brand, and it's lost its identity. So what do you think is the South African identity then?
Well, the South Africa story is simple. It's the Constitution. It's what we're about, to explore the potential of every person. I think that's the most important thing. The first ads used to say "alive with possibility." It's a country where you can be what you can become. I've written a few books. My first one was a marketing book called Marketing Through Mud and Dust, and I've been working on one, and I've written a book called South Africa's Promise. And I've been writing a book on peacemaking, because it's something that we've done. Who we are. Imagine this guy. Imagine in 1979, at the height of apartheid, a guy, Willie Esterhazy, is a professor of philosophy at Stellenbosch University. He gets given the task. He writes a book at the time called "Apartheid Must Die." So it's a country of very brave people. It's a country, that's why we're able to produce so many entrepreneurs. Now, think of Nelson Mandela, comes out of a place called Mvezo, grows up in a place called Punu, and then is raised basically pretty much, his mentor lives in Mkagezweni. And this guy comes from the bottom end of the earth in Africa.
Yeah.
He goes on to dominate politics.
Yeah.
Think of Elon Musk, whether you love him or not. He dominates entrepreneurship, the world of commerce. And we have many of such people in various fields. A country as small as ours has got 11 Nobel Peace Prizes, Nobel winners, even in the sciences before that. So there is something about us, isn't it? There's a certain magic in all of us. And that is the character of South Africa.
Yeah.
Forget about the image. The image, I always say, the image is like a shadow. It depends on the mirror, it depends on the sun and the time of day. If it's overcast, your shadow disappears. In the dark, but it disappears. But your character never changes.
Yeah, for sure. And I think what you're talking about there is something that we've kind of tried to stress, and especially that this is a special country. And when you look at the story of South Africa, you can see that it's a special country. Nowhere else on the continent have we seen what happened in South Africa in the terms of political transitions, where we managed to go from a authoritarian state to quasi-fascist, to however you want to describe apartheid, and peacefully negotiate our way into a democracy. I mean, that's a miraculous achievement in and of itself, wouldn't you say?
Without a doubt. I mean, the French didn't have that. They had the French Revolution. So did the Americans, right? We had a negotiated settlement. And that is the one thing that we have to bottle and sell. And once we lose that peacemaking ability, that then we've lost our essence. We've lost our brand character. That nobody's interested in us anymore. We don't have the biggest economy in the world.
No.
We don't have the biggest of many things. But the one thing that everybody needs is peace. And if we walk away from that, if we walk away from our ability to create what JFK called men of goodwill, that's it. We're out of business.
Yes, and so maybe on that point, I think let's angle our discussion to talk about now kind of where we're at. So in terms of how you see South Africa, what do you think has gone right since 1994, and what do you think has gone wrong since 1994?
From 94 to around, I think it was 2018, thereabouts, we doubled the middle class. So that went, that's very good. It was great and amazing economic growth. Well, before then 2013 things turned. That's why in 2018 we started to feel it. So things turned, I think we were new to this thing called democracy, and there were a lot of excesses for which we're paying till today. And I think there's, it's a maturing democracy. 30 years, most liberating parties around the world, they tend to lose after 30 years, because firstly, you've got a generation that does not have the sympathies of the generation that led to the liberation. What is happening with this high unemployment is very sad when you see youngsters doing everything that they were told to do. They studied, and then there are no jobs. That is criminal. And after 30 years, I think it's time for change. It's time for change of government, time for change of leadership. It's the same thing in America for a long time. Congress was run by the Democrats, and that there had to be change at some stage, because people get used to the excesses of power. They get to believe that there's no opposition. But we are here because we've got weak opposition, and weak opposition, you're as good as your competitors often, So to use Napoleon's terms, throw everything out. It's time to take out the carpets, put in new stuff, renovation, throw everything out. That's my view. We are here because all of them are together in the excesses, and they've forgotten what it is about.
Yeah. Um, and there's something there that as you were speaking, one of the lines that we have at the Common Sense is that the fundamental achievement of South Africa's democracy is that if the society were to ever reach a point in which change was necessary, we have given ourselves the opportunity to make that change peacefully, as opposed to if we hadn't had democracy, the only option in a non-democratic state to change the government is by kind of forced overthrow. Whereas here we have the opportunity to do as you say and kind of throw them out, but we do that by going to the ballot box and electing ourselves. And so, but that point rests on South Africans' ability to realize that the power is actually in their hands, and it is their choice, the choices that they make, which will produce South Africa's success.
Gabriel, Churchill said it so well when he lost an election, that people know what is important to them. That they don't vote the way I want them to vote doesn't mean it's not working for them. That they feel that none of the politicians are giving them an alternative is not their fault. They know what is good for them. It is important for those who see a better future to go and sell their idea. In his book Long Walk to Freedom, Mandela talks about this as well. He makes an example with stock limitation, where the apartheid government came in and said you can't have an X number, you can't have more than X number of cattle, and people felt like, and somebody comes and says, no, you can have more cattle than that. They know what they want. They'll vote for the guy who says you can have more cattle. Yeah. It's really as simple as that. But because we live in pockets, and people are unable or unwilling to sell their vision to the rest of us, then they blame the voters. It's never the voters' fault.
Yeah.
It's those who are unable or unwilling to articulate their vision to people or align their interests with the interests of the voters.
Yeah.
So that'll always be, I guess, the tension in a democracy. We see it in America, where people are Republicans are being very populist because some of them are trying to follow Trump. And others feel that you've gone too far. So you either align yourself with the trends or you align yourself with the character of who you are. And so that'll always be the tension. And we hear it all the time, the frustration, where people say the voters get what they voted for. No, you were unable to articulate your vision to the voters and take them to a better place as a leader.
So I think, could you tell us a bit about the group organization you founded in South Africa's Promise? Because I think the ideal is making new South African heroes.
That's what we. So I was lucky, I always say I'm like Jesus Christ. I grew up in one of those families where 70% of those families that are run by women. Jesus' father was in heaven and he was raised by Joseph. So when he said, blessed are the poor in spirit, I guess he knew what he really meant. Because, kids are very cruel. They're like, that's not his real father. Joseph is not his real father. So my mom and dad were not married. But I was raised by people who cared, starting with my grandmother and my parents, of course, who did the best that they could and did very, very well, I believe. But I was raised by my grandmother and a community, and my aunt, and a community that cared a lot. Who made sure I went to school, went to university, and Father Dominic, and who was in charge of the two schools that I went to, the lower primary and the primary, and a myriad of other teachers. I'll always have great respect for teachers. And Bishop Nkwana, who gave me a bursary to go to university. And I ended up running Lascaris, which was one of the best agencies at the time. And my wish was to create an opportunity for younger people who were probably born in worse circumstances or similar circumstances, and some even better circumstances, to get the same opportunities that I got, and hopefully open doors for them. And I think what's the most important thing right now is to is to inspire people and make them believe that they can be the best that they can be. And I think that's what is missing in South Africa right now. We're very gloomy. The weather's gloomy. Our minds are gloomy. We don't see the future. All we hear is bad, bad, bad. But I think if we make people to start to believe that you're good, 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 they will change the situation. That's my belief.
And so is that what South Africa's Promise is trying to achieve?
That's what South Africa's Promise is doing. So we're an NPO, and we've worked with young people in rural areas, in KZN in particular, where we did some farming projects, water projects. We've done a lot of research in townships like Atahong and Soweto, and even in the cities, to find out what it is that young people are looking for, that could inspire, that could turn on the light. And the agriculture one has been really fascinating. Has been exciting in many ways, because some of the people start as entrepreneurs. They don't believe they're entrepreneurs, but they're doing something that is entrepreneurial. So we got an organization that got them water, Innovation Africa, that got them water, and once they got the water, they were able to start planting, and now they're selling their produce, and others have actually put their produce into the supply chains in KZN.
Wow!
So that is exciting, and that's what it is. That's what it's opening opportunities for people that they did not even know that they have the potential to achieve. To take those opportunities,
And in terms of South Africa's Promise, when you talk about kind of creating new heroes, what do you mean by that? Why do you think that that's necessary in South Africa? What do we? And maybe another question is, do you think that we even have kind of modern heroes in South African life today? Just as I'm asking you this question, I'm thinking to myself, who off the top of my head could I regard as a hero in South Africa? And outside of someone like Siya Kolisi, you got pretty slim pickings in modern day landscape.
So I think you see a hero retrospectively, the rearview mirror. So let's think about this. Let's think about this guy. So as I said, I'm been doing a lot of research, and I'm about to publish a book on peace, on conflict resolution. This guy studied math and science at university. The lowest mark he ever got for physics was 97% at university. And mathematics, he always got 100%, and he couldn't understand why you get less than that. This guy becomes a teacher, and he goes on to become a lawyer. All right, he's got a very successful law practice at the time. He says when they go to work in the mornings, it's full because the apartheid laws are coming in. People are losing their properties. People are losing everything. So they're always fighting the government. They want to document this. They want a letter for that. And this guy feels, no, man, the only thing to do is I can make money as a lawyer from this disaster, or I can change this, And he ends up in politics. He loses everything. In fact, Mandela gets arrested and a few others, and he goes and he hands himself over, and the policeman pushes him away, go away, And he realized, okay, I got to leave the country. He leaves the country inside the boot of a car, driven by Ronald Siegel. And on their way out, once they're out of Johannesburg, they're driving out of Joburg, he's in the boot of the car. White guy is driving it, Ronald Siegel. Nobody's going to stop Ronald. The white guy, they're going to let him pass, right? And once they are outside of Joburg and it's now comfortable, Ronald stops, gets the guy to drive him as his chauffeur, and Ronald sits in the back seat now as the chauffeur. They go through Botswana. He's got not a penny in his pocket. Through some old contacts at university at Fort Hare, he goes out to Tanzania with nothing, and then builds this formidable force that fights the apartheid government that had all the support of the West and China, that is to buy their uranium, and Russia, with whom they had a collusion with the diamonds for the money for the monopoly, and defeats apartheid. This guy's name is Oliver Tambo.
Yes.
In retrospect, he was a hero. And heroism is like genius, isn't it? It's 1 millimeter, it's madness.
Yeah.
Spectacular failure. How could you even think about that?
Yes.
1 millimeter the other way, it's great and amazing. And sometimes it's not even recognized. But the only thing we can do is to till the soil. And then the seeds of genius and heroes will plant themselves. The rains will come. Some will make it and some won't. But that is life, isn't it? But I do believe is like most countries, we have to go through the bad. We have to go through the fire to forge us into something better and stronger.
Definitely. And maybe we can kind of turn our attention for the last section of this podcast onto what a successful South African future could look like. And where, how does this country take, the challenges of today and turn them into the opportunities of tomorrow, kind of thing. What do you think on terms of this question?
South Africa will work and has worked when there's diversity. The dream that Martin Luther King had in America, the dream of non-racialism, where we are all equal. I don't believe in things like saying things like redressing the past. If you say to me I'm historically disadvantaged, you're saying to my grandmother, who did everything she could, which I later understood was smuggling gold, and my mother who sold liquor.
Yeah.
You saying their work was in vain. How can you say to Mandela's father or mother, Nosekeni, or to the man who raised him, Jongindaba, that they didn't do a good job, that their kid is historically disadvantaged?
Yeah.
He wasn't. And if we tell people that they're historically disadvantaged, we are telling them that they can't be their best.
Yes.
That they must live on handouts. So the first thing I believe is we have to scrap everything that tells people that they are not the best. And diversity of thought, diversity of experience is what builds a community. It's what builds a nation.
Yeah.
And that's what we should do. I was, as I say, I was talking about this book that the speech that JFK made about men of goodwill.
Yes.
Where actually talks about men of goodwill. When they opened the schools to have both black and white kids in America, it was white men who went and protected the black kids to go to that school.
Yeah.
So the fact is now what has happened is there's just an assault on everyone. There's an assault on blacks, there's an assault on whites, and everybody's trying to create a division. No, these things work well when we all work together. And that's what is South Africa. That's what South Africa is about. But there are too many people who make money from us being divided. Whether they're consultants on BEE or whatever they may be, that's how they make their money. And so if you kill this, that is what lays the golden egg for them.
Yeah.
And so they will support it even if it no longer makes sense. You can have BE, you can have whatever. With the amount of unemployment that we have, we have to scrap everything and throw everyone out.
Yes.
It's not working anymore.
And do you think that there is now this kind of, at least we seem to see that there's this growing recognition on behalf of South Africans that not only does something need to change, but that people are realizing they may be able to change things. Do you think that the country is moving in the direction where we might be able to realize its potential?
There's a very sad story that I read recently in a book by Sonia Sotomayor of someone and who got killed at night. Kitty, I think was her first name. Kitty Genovese.
Mm.
She came back from work, going to her apartment. This was in the States, and she somebody followed her. She screamed and she got stabbed.
Mm.
Story says initially that there were 38 witnesses and nobody called the cops, maybe one or two people. It was later revised, maybe there were 12 people.
Mm.
But there is a certain degree of apathy and indifference. People keep quiet. People look the other way. If there's no car, if there are no trains, I've got a picture that I took at Pretoria Station, where people walk on the railways because there were no trains running.
Yeah.
Instead of protesting, instead of demanding the trains, they're more interested in getting to work than they are in there's no train. So people will make do. And that's why it's important for the leaders to inspire people to say, there can be a better world. You don't have to be the one who walks on the railway lines. The railway lines were built for the trains to run on them. So you and I may see the need for the change because the change is important. Because I'm much older than you, the beard tells me, I got opportunities because there were people who were willing to make the change, who were willing to tell others that there could be a better world. But unless somebody gets out there and does it, unless somebody inspires enough people to do it, it's not going to happen all by itself. People will not realize it. They would rather walk on the railway lines than demand that a train should be running.
Yeah, I think that does talk to what we see in South Africa and the kind of modern South African disposition in which you can have the lights turn out for, at some points, 8 to 12 hours every day, and people will just get on with it. They don't, they choose to get on with their lives. They'll make the plans. They'll, buy a battery if they have the money, but whatever. But they're not going out and going and standing in front of Parliament demanding every day that you fix the problems that you're causing us. And you see this across everything. We have water systems collapsing in parts of the country. We have sewage leaks in some cities. But then people just kind of of course there are protests, of course there is action taken, but in general, as you point out, this apathy seems to have set in to people's bones in the country.
It's human, Gabriel. It's human. When you've got a door that needs to be lift it and then lock it, you never get the guy to come and fix it, right?
Yes.
That's just how it is. So unless somebody says, no, I don't want to be lifting this, that's just how it goes. Unless there's something drastic that happens. I love golf. And I had an old set of golf clubs that was lying in the lounge that I'd always wanted to take out and just actually throw away. And I don't know how they got there. And my daughter was a toddler at the time, and she fell on them. They were in the dustbin the next minute. I didn't need them. You know what I mean? So unless there's something drastic that happens that touches your heart, and there's no better protest than the ballot paper, than the ballot box. You can go and march on the streets. If you don't use the opportunity when it avails itself, when your democracy gives it to you to vote and change whoever's in power, or in a position for that matter, then you've lost the opportunity.
Yeah.
And that's but that demands for leaders to come out, and not necessarily for leaders, but people who are inspired enough to speak to others and make them believe and see the change, the need for the change. That's how it comes about.
I agree with that completely. And I hope that you can see at least that what we're trying to do here, and the audience will appreciate that this message that you're giving about people needing inspiration, but also that there's success waiting around the corner in South Africa, as long as we are willing to go out and grab it, is something that we want to continue to repeat and put on blast, because we think we agree with you that without the right people, trying to act in a way to inspire people to make the correct decisions for themselves, that we will continue this slow slide into irrelevance, into a country without a character and a people therefore without a character.
And that is bad for us all. It is bad for young people who are growing up. It is bad for the old people. It is bad for the country. And it is bad for the world, because we're an important part of our continent is in the center of the earth. We've got 54 votes at the United Nations. So whatever we say as a bloc carries. And for a long time, we were the leading light as South Africa. And I think we should do that again. But we can only do that when we've got the credibility to do that. And I think what South Africa, for me, South Africa for young people such as you, has a great future. But you are, to use Al Pacino's words, we can only lift the country through the wings that you guys have got. If you guys don't make the change, if you guys don't step forward, and if everybody doesn't step forward, actually, we'll only go backwards. Yeah. And I think the world is waiting for us to go to take our role once again and lead the light and lead the world in the direction of peace.
Yeah, and I hope that you and I can sit in a few years' time and have another conversation in which maybe we have started to realize South Africa's promise.
Oh, lovely. Absolutely. I'm sure it's going to happen. Thanks.
So, thank you so much,
Thank you,
Muzi.
Gabriel. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And thank you to everyone for listening. Yeah. Tune in again for the next episode of Talking Sense.